Hello, everyone. Excited to see you here. I am going to get us live over here on Facebook, and then we're going to jump into it. So say hello, whether you are live or on the replay. It's always fun to see who is here. Let's see, Facebook has been a little slow lately with this live streaming, so hopefully it'll happen quickly. But say hello in the chat. Let me know if you have used Oracle cards before. I'm going to share with you some of my favorite reasons why I love working with them. And some of them might be new for you, so it'll give you some ideas as well. Let's see, it's not working that way. So let me try this other way here. All right, it looks like we are now live on Facebook as well. So let's jump into it. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. It's always fun to do live streams. You just never know what's going to happen. All right, say hello in the chat. So let's jump into the topic today. So I want to talk about with 5 ways that I love working with Oracle cards and how they can help you too. This is going to be supportive whether you're a beginner, brand new to oracles, or maybe you're just curious about them. This can give you some insight, or if you're advanced and you've been using them a while. So let me know in the chat, have you been using Oracle cards at all? Are you a beginner, or more would you consider intermediate advanced? Been using them for many years. So I want to jump into it and just share a little bit about the reasons why. One of the first reasons why I love working with Oracle cards and how they can help you too is they've helped me get really clear on the root cause of patterns, whether it's emotional, physical, mental, right? Like it's just really helpful sometimes when we have a blind spot, which happens often, right? We'll have a blind spot to something, and you can use Oracle cards as a way to sort of get that spiritual perspective. Because when we're emotionally attached to an outcome or emotionally attached to a situation, it's hard for us to see. It's like we're too in our feels about it or too in our head about it. And so when you start to look at it from the perspective of the root cause, that's often our biggest blind spot. And so that can be a really powerful way to help you get to the root of something, like, why am I procrastinating on this project? And what's at the root cause? And then use your Oracle deck as a way to start to get deeper insight. So that's one way that I really like to use them, because so often that's the hardest time. It's like when we want the guidance the most is when we feel somewhat disconnected from our intuition. So let me know if that makes sense. Hello, Chrissy, Dave, Philip, good to see you all here. So that's the first reason. Another reason how I love to work with them. Oops, sorry, my alarm's going off. The second reason is to really cultivate my intuition, right? So this is one of the first spiritual tools I use. So if you saw my Facebook Live that I did last week, if you missed it, it's in the replay area of my YouTube or my Facebook group. But basically, it helps you really cultivate your practice of your intuition. It's like asking to receive signs and then building it and starting to build your own library of symbols. And so when you work with your Oracle cards, it can be a really powerful way to kind of bridge that gap, give you a little bit of support, a little bit of validation, a little bit of clarity to help you even build your own library of symbols, right? I often look at the Oracle cards very intuitively and very visually. So I'll be taking in all of the pictures and the symbols that pop up. So it might even be different than what the guidebook or the card says, but it'll pop to me because I've started building my own kind of vocabulary, if you will. And a lot of times I think too, the Oracle cards got more and more and more to where they were already really validating what I already knew, but maybe didn't trust fully. And so you can kind of just get that extra little umph of validation when it comes to the information that you're receiving that you may not totally have confidence is valid for you. Okay. Another reason why I really love to work with them is because they help you really be that conscious creator. Sometimes when you have long-term goals, it's really easy for the energy to be cloudy, right? If you have long-term goals and we don't know how, right? Which is good because we want to be open to the curiosity. Sometimes we try to control things that limits it, but sometimes when it's either moving through a comfort zone or it's such a big goal that we can get lost in the process, or we can get shiny object syndrome, or sort of kind of lose focus or lose faith. And so especially when you're trying to move through your comfort zone or work on something that's a longer term goal, using your Oracle cards helps you really stay connected with the alignment that you're on, with the path that you're on, with the next steps that you can take, right? It really helps you to be that. It's kind of like your partner in supporting you to partner with your higher self and with your spirit guides in a way to be that guidance for what it is that you're being called to do and take actions in terms of action steps, right? Because sometimes I think that, especially when it's a bigger goal or something outside of your comfort zone, or it's something new that you're creating, like a business, we kind of need those touch points. We need those validations. We need those synchronicities. We need the kind of encouragement to keep the faith and to keep moving through the times that feel either sluggish or murky, which oftentimes can be due to a level of fear. Okay, so let me know if that makes sense. Another reason is sometimes I use it for content inspiration. So with your purpose work or with content creation, if you are a creator, like if you're a content creator or you feel called to be of service in the world in some way, sometimes you can use this. I've used it a lot of times to spark ideas for my monthly workshops, or like in the beginning, especially I'd use it to notice like what the content that I'm creating, is there anything that I'm missing? Is there anything more here? Like I literally use it as a way to be a sounding board of conversation to my soul, my higher self, and my spirit team and the universe directly, so that you're playing that game with those open-ended questions and pulling and revealing more information. And what I love about that is sometimes it'll just be validating what I already knew that I was planning on doing. It's like, okay, yep, that's the energy I was tuning into for this month. And I pull a card and it's very validating towards the content for the workshop, as an example, that I was looking to create. Or sometimes I might be looking to add, like, is there any more details I'm missing? Right? Here's the module, or here's the workshop that I'm creating. Is there anything I'm missing? Is there any perspective, any other new insights or ideas that I could bring into this? And sometimes when I pull the card, it's like, oh, okay, there's another angle, there's another next step, there's another aspect that I can bring forward and talk about. Does that make sense? So it can really help you expand and sort of be that creative sounding board, if you will, when it comes to creating content, if you are a content creator or want to be. It can also help you just in general, I would say, if you aren't yet, to get clear on like what your purpose work is. I definitely remember in the early days using it this way as well. It's like I had this sort of broad sense of how I wanted to be of service in the world. It definitely continued to evolve over time, but it was so broad that I really didn't know where to start. And so I think, when I was, and sometimes I'd second guess or doubt it because it seemed so far removed from the current reality that I was living, like that, to get the cards of teaching, psychic work or spirituality or awakening, like to keep getting those types of cards when I would tune into the specific question of, how am I here to be of service? What does my purpose work look like? What kind of program would be valuable that I could support with, right? Who are the people that I'm here to work with? So I use the oracle cards a lot to really get a more clear and defined sense of what my service work was to even become, right? Because in the beginning, I think there's so much fear and doubt and lack of certainty and clarity around like what your life is currently to where it is you're being called to go, that bridging that gap can feel very long and confusing. So let me know if that makes sense. But I definitely remember using the cards a lot in those beginning phases for that as well. Another reason why I love to work with oracle cards, and you can too, is just for that. I kind of tuned into this a little bit, but just for inspiration and validation, right? Sometimes we just wake up and our energy's in a little bit of a funk, or sometimes we just feel a little overwhelmed, or we're going through a phase where we're feeling a bit stagnant, right? Or maybe you've kind of losing inspiration on a particular goal. Right. And so there's this level of where I feel like when I'm staying closely connected and using my oracle cards, even if it's just like a message of the day, right? It'll serve as that inspiration of that validation of kind of just helping you shift your energy, your mindset, and your perspective to keep that connection with spirit, with source, with your higher self, but also oftentimes you can even use that even as a next step of to take to be in a higher alignment. But I find that when I stay connected there, it bridges me, it gets me out of my head, gets me out of like the, oh, woe is me kind of energy and into a higher level of consciousness and connection to myself. And sometimes that's all it's required in order to have the whole day go differently. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense there. I'm trying to see if Facebook comments. I don't know why the comments aren't showing me at this moment. I'll definitely be coming back to both YouTube and Facebook to see the comments. So let me know if that resonates for you as well. And then a bonus one, like to give you another bonus reason, is to get to know spirit guides, right? I may have touched on this a little bit on the last call, but this is definitely where I started to bridge the communication between my spirit team. So if you have a particular set of spirit guides, if spirit guides are new to you, just notice who you're drawn to. Are you drawn to archangels? Are you drawn to animal spirits? Are you drawn to fairies and nature elementals? Are you drawn to the dragons, to the starseed? You know, there's just so many different, especially nowadays, there's just so many different oracle cards that can help you really start to cultivate a clarity of a connection to each individual, first of all, type of group, right? So you'll start to learn about the different groups if you choose, but then your subsets, so like Archangel Michael versus Archangel Jophiel. When I would use the oracle cards as an example for the archangels, it was definitely that I would start to get to know specific spirit guides along the way until pretty soon the oracle card, the messages, I was so attuned to their energy that it was just very easy and natural for me to begin to communicate with my spirit team. Okay. So let me know if that makes sense. So there's six amazing of my like some of my favorite reasons why I love working with the oracle cards, and I still will, right? I don't necessarily, well, I still use them a lot. I wouldn't say I use them every day at this point, but for many years, I was in the habit of just staying and keeping that connection each day with at least one card, if not a few cards, and sometimes more, right? But it doesn't have to take long. It can literally take 5 or 10 minutes. I know when I first started, I felt kind of unclear and very vague about the answers that I was getting. And that's really why I created my Oracle Card Mastery program. I know some people have already jumped in and have been posting and sharing in my Facebook group, especially, or even my Soul Success Unleashed group, about how they've been using and starting to work with their oracles, and like even moved to tears because they feel so elated and happy that they're connecting so profoundly with messages coming through. And so just as a reminder, the Oracle Card Mastery program is currently on sale just for one more day through tomorrow, depending, or today, depending on when you're seeing it. It's tomorrow for today, but some of you will probably see this video tomorrow. So by June 20th, it's on sale to where you can save $150, which makes it a real easy $347 in full, or 3 payments of $133. So if that's something that you are curious about checking out, I know a lot of people have already been having a lot of success. Let's see, it really helps give direction for the day. And yes, getting to know them and speaking to them individually is very uplifting. Absolutely. I know I had someone who, she was like, I've moved to emotions and tears. I just feel so golden. Another comment that I had in the Facebook group was, oh my gosh, the Clearing Connect. And in each module, right, there's 5 modules. So if you're brand new to Oracle cards, it's a great step-by-step, literally step-by-step protocols, demonstrations, PDFs, how to set the energy, how to set your space, what kinds of spreads, what types of questions, how to not have to rely on the guidebook. I mean, there's just literally, it's such a solid, it's just such a solid foundation. You get a video, you get worksheets, but then I also gave demonstration videos of the different types of spreads I was teaching so you could see it in action, because I know I'm a very visual learner that way. But then also you get an activation with each one. And the very first one has the activation called Clear and Connect, which helps you really clear your energy, clear your cards. But you can also use it just once you listen to the attunement, you'll be able to attune to use it to clear your crystals, your pendulums, your decks, even your home, really your environment. You can use it for so many things. Absolutely. Would you start by purchasing one deck and work with that particular deck for a while? Or would you get a couple different kinds and interchange? Personally, I started with one deck at a time. I mean, there's no right or wrong. If you go and you feel aligned with, oh, this may be, I would go with more than 3 decks. I'd start with one, I think is ideal. It's a great way. Just start with one so you don't get confused. You start to get familiar with the energy and familiar with the cards, right? Especially if you're looking at it for the purposes of working with a spirit support team of some kind, then I think one at a time for sure could be beneficial. But at the same time, if you go to the store and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel really drawn to 2 or 3 decks, that's no problem at all, especially if you're talking for daily guidance. And then what I would do is you can use your intuition to begin with and just be like, well, which cards am I drawn to today, and lean towards it. I think the one aspect that I would say might be best to do one deck at a time is if you're using it in part for the purposes of really getting to know a spirit guide team, because I think familiarizing yourself with like one group of archangels or animal guides, doesn't matter which one first, but one or the other is going to help you have a stronger discernment of their energy before you move on. Does that make sense? Otherwise it could cloud it, I think, a little bit. But if you're just using it for daily inspiration, you could have a couple of decks, that's no problem. But I think the way that I started is I started with one deck, and then I added another one. And because what you'll notice is they have different personalities and vibrations kind of attached to them as well. And even to this day, I probably have like 60 card decks, and some of them I may not use for a couple of years. And then all of a sudden it's like calling my name, and I'll be like, oh, the fairies are calling me, and I'll start to recognize it and I'll work with those ones. So you'll notice that they kind of have different personalities. So for different times, they can be really beneficial for sure. So let me see here. I'm trying to look on Facebook. Oh, here you go. Okay. I don't know why it was not showing me those. There's the link there to check out the program as well. Hello, Kelly. Hello, Answering Angels. Good to see you here as well. All right. So yes, that's my 6 ways. I just wanted to give you a few more reasons. I thought that could be beneficial, whether you work with them or not, just to kind of understand different ways you might be able to play with them and work them, and to give you some encouragement, for sure. And just a reminder that the program's on sale. Save $150 for another little over 24 hours, right? Another day and a half or so until June 20th. Hello, Laura. All right. Any other questions? I don't see any questions here. You're new, 10 days. Awesome. And I've loved that too. People that have jumped into the program, into the Oracle Card Mastery Program, have already started using them and are already getting great results and are already feeling inspired and motivated and getting more clarity. And it's a practice. It's a muscle that you build. So I think it can be really, really powerful, a really powerful practice to start if you haven't. So I love seeing that. If you have purchased it, keep sharing your experiences in the group. I think sometimes, being a part of a spiritual community, if you're over here on YouTube, this is great. I love it. I'm going to be doing more here. But we also have a Facebook group that has over 36,000 people who are all on their spiritual journey, who are all awakening, who are all sensitives and empaths. So you can absolutely check us out there as well. You can just type group in the comment and I'll come back with that link as well. Or I might be able to grab it now. No, I don't think I can. But yeah, check it out. Just let me know in the Facebook or in the YouTube if you want my Facebook group information. All right, everybody, that is what I had for you. I just want to pop in here with a quick live and just share some other ways in which you might want to utilize your Oracle cards. And maybe you haven't been, or maybe I'm just re-inspiring you to pick up a deck if you haven't lately. I'd love for you to come back. If you do choose a card, come back here and post a picture of your card in the comments. Like, what's your inspiration for the day? We could start a little inspiration chain for everybody. Sometimes it's fun to see what we pull for ourselves will often benefit others as well. So share the card that you pull or the message that you get if you want to in the comments, and I'll come back and check them out a little bit later today. All right. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk again soon. All right. I'm just checking one more time for any comments. Don't see any questions. All right. We'll talk again soon. Bye for now.